You're doing everything right, you're taking care of your sailors, you're meeting the mission, but you're still not getting selected for chief, senior chief, or master chief. I've seen this time and time again, people not getting selected and they don't know why. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why I've seen most people not get promoted. I've looked through hundreds of records in my time and I've seen these 4 traits hold people back. And I'm going to give you the secret so you can fix them and hopefully have a better opportunity to advance immediately. This video is for people who want to promote as fast as possible, those people stuck who just can't promote, or anyone who's just trying to help someone else get promoted and get to the next level. Stick around to the end because the 4th one is probably the hardest one to admit, but it's the most impactful and the one that will make the biggest changes in your career if you follow it. Mistake number 1 is not following your ladder. I see this all the time. I go look at a record and compare it to the ladder. Okay, what duty assignments is this person supposed to take? What qualifications are they supposed to take? And guess what? The average person who's been stuck and can't promote has taken a wide deviation away from what their ladder recommends. They're not going to those competitive billets that are in rate. They're doing something way off the beaten path that's atypical. And then also I look at their qualifications and they're missing those discrete qualifiers. In your ladder, there's a section that says, hey, here's what we expect to promote to chief. Here's what we expect for senior chief and master chief. If you're not looking at that section, you're messing up. That's the key place I go to compare and look at people's records when they bring them to me in my office. The reality is that if you aren't in those billets that the Navy expects you and your rate expects you, you're missing out on hitting those key wickets to get promoted. While every other hard-charging sailor in your rate is down on the deck plate doing what the Navy wants, you're off here in left field. Guess what? Your promotion is going to lag behind those out there doing what we expect. So take a look at those billets and what it recommends for your career progression at your pay grade. And then look at what qualifications you should be getting. And here's another super critical one that you need to pay attention to. Get the qualifications before you leave. What I mean is, I've seen plenty of really amazing sailors who transferred off of the ship onto shore duty and they didn't get that pinnacle qualification. And now guess what? For 3 years while they're on shore duty, that qualification is holding them back. Don't leave anything hanging on the table when you're about to leave. Get everything that you will lose the opportunity to get on your next duty. Otherwise, you might be walking away with some regrets. That early promote or that EP on your eval is not going to get you across the board if you're missing these key components from your ladder. That's the reality. This one mistake puts you miles behind your peers and you might not even notice it's happening. Mistake number 2 is poorly written or stagnated evals. Plenty of times I've went to review sailors' evals, I go to their block 43, that write-up portion, and I start to look at what they've done. I look at a tour for a sailor, they've been there 3 to 5 years, and I see the primary bullet is the same exact thing on every single eval for 3 years straight. They had the same collateral duty for 3 years straight, and then a third bullet with just some minor tweaks. Basically what you're communicating to the board is that, hey, I got there, I got comfortable, and I just did the same thing with the same responsibilities for the entire time I was on board that assignment. That's communicating being stagnant, that you haven't done anything to branch out and try to be better. You just went there, got the qualification, and did the same thing for 5 years. Worse is when I see a sailor and they go, from a destroyer for 3.5 years to another destroyer for 4 years, and then they do the exact same position and the exact same collateral duty on both tours and they change nothing. I've seen sailors where they do an entire decade of their career where they were work center soup and they did the same collateral duty with no increased responsibility. The key here is don't stagnate. Always try to improve. Get more qualifications, get a higher position in your rate, or more responsibility leading more people. Next up, what I see is poorly written evals. And what I mean by this is they don't clearly articulate the results. That's what the board wants to see. They want to see what you did and what were the results of that. I've seen evals where it says led 300 sailors to make repairs to all this technical equipment. That's amazing, but what did the sailors achieve under your leadership? How many awards did they get? How many promotions under your watch? How many US MAP certifications? How did you help make the people better? I see those results missing all the time, that they aren't detailing how they made the lives of their people better. It's great to document some of those details. If you're working in a soup and you led putting 22 pieces of equipment into IEM, or you went into dry dock and you led your team doing that, that's good. But if you're missing those people-centric results, you're missing a whole chunk of leadership. Remember my other video where I went over PAR, your position, the action, and the results. Gotta anchor on the results. What are you doing as a leader, and what are the results of your leadership? Absolutely key. I highly recommend having a brag sheet where you are just tracking those measurable results. If you aren't tracking those measurable results, you're gonna have undocumented performance because you're not keeping track of what you do, and guess what? You're not gonna remember what you did last year. So brag sheet, brag sheet, brag sheet. Boards just don't want to know what you did. They want to know the results of your leadership, both technical and tactical mastery and people. That's huge. Mistake number 3 doesn't get talked about a lot, but that's no peer group involvement. As a CMC, I want to see as a first class that you're involved with the First Class Petty Officer Association and your peers trying to make the command and our sailors better. You don't need to be the president, vice president. I don't care about that. I just want to see that you are interacting with your peers and the collective is making us better. What that tells me is that when you enter the mess, that you're going to do the same thing. A huge job of the Chiefs mess is making our sailors better, making our commands better, and running the deck plate. So when you are working with your peers as a first class, you're signaling to me that when you join the mess, you're going to be a contributor and you're going to give back to the mess to make us all better. The people up for Senior Chief and the people up for Master Chief, you're the ones I want to see leading the mess. What's the difference between a first class and a chief? That's the ability to mentor the chief's mess. My strongest chiefs are the ones who are leading the mess and doing the same thing I just described inside the goat locker. They're leveraging the power of the mess to get things done and make the command better and make our people better. If you're just showing up to a chief's meeting, eating lunch, and getting out of there and not being a contributor, you're signaling to me that you don't want to be a senior chief, because I need senior chiefs who are going to be the movers and shakers and driving the organization into the future. If you're not lifting up your peers and lifting up the command, using your peers together, then guess what? You're probably not going to do it in the mess, and the board sees that. If you stuck with me this long, hit that like button and subscribe. I drop a video every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Never miss a video. Now let's take a look at mistake number 4. This is the hardest to admit and the hardest to tell people because it's very personal. Mistake number 4 is that you're just average. You're performing at an average level. Your ability or what you've demonstrated is average. These sailors are the ones that do, the bare minimum, exactly what's required of them. They don't do any more. They don't have initiative. They don't have ambition. They're not going to drive and get those high-level qualifications. They're not going to go out there and lead. They're just going to do and exist. I see this all the time. These types of leaders, first classes, chiefs, who think in their mind somehow that they're the EP, the #1 gift to the planet. And then you look at what they've done, and it's really just average work. They do the minimum. They earn their paycheck. Nothing more, nothing less. The reality is, we don't promote mediocre sailors. So if you want to put in that mediocre effort, then expect not to be selected. You have to take a real hard look at yourself and ask yourself if you're really giving 110%. 110% doesn't mean you just showed up, did the job, and went home. There's so much more to being an exceptional leader in the Navy beyond that. This one hurts the most because deep down, you probably know that you've been coasting. That's why this one can have the biggest impact, because when you realize you're coasting and you realize you've just been giving, half effort, you can make profound, quick changes if you just change your mindset. Now, it will take time because your performance and evaluations will lag. You have to work hard for a year to earn that eval that will then go in your record to help you get selected. And typically, we're going to want to see sustained superior performance over time. One-off eval where you were a P over and over again, all of a sudden you were an EP, that might be a fluke. We want to see that sustained superior performance from the top. The bottom line, follow your ladder, lead your peers, and document those impacts on your eval using PAR. And lastly, if you've been coasting, take a hard look, make change, and be better tomorrow. If you start doing these 4 things, I guarantee your chances of being selected will increase. Like this video if this helped you gain some clarity on why you might not be getting selected or someone else might be having a hard time. Share this with somebody who needs to hear the hard truth so they can promote. I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.